Greetings again, everybody. Welcome back to Dark Souls 2. As promised, from now on, we're gonna go all over the place. But before we're gonna go where we're gonna go today, we actually need to get something. Well, we don't need to, but we'll want to. Also, fuck those statues. We're not gonna see the reason why I hate them so much this time around, though.
Oh. Who are you again? No, I'm not serious. You do have a rather pleasant scent. The type I'm quite fond of.
So yeah, before going on, I want to buy something particular from Shalquar. It is the Ring of Whispers. Its use as can hear voices of foes. What it does is that when an enemy is close by, we will hear some kind of roaring, but that's not why we're buying it.
This place is fascinating. It's a... Satisfied? I'll be around if you ever come back.
Alright, this time in New Game Plus, we will want to Respec, because I want to use some magic. Not the best idea for this area we're gonna go to, but we're gonna get some use out of it. So let's just talk to Strowan here, and use a soul vessel.
Still determined as ever, I see. Do you wish to start all over again?
Respecking does exactly what it says on the tin. It allows us to redistribute our stats. Helpfully, it also displays what they were before. And I'm gonna go with high intelligence, and they should have gone with more attunement. Small mistake on my part. But anyway, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So yeah, let's move on to the area we're gonna explore. We could have, well, gone into the general direction before. It's right up there through this small cave. But we would not actually be able to proceed until we have a fragrant branch of yore, so that's why you need to go to Harvest Valley first. And this is the final path that we couldn't open yet. The other one we haven't explored yet is the pit, and hey, look, this looks kind of like the weapon we're using. Slightly different though.
Have you business with me? The way yonder's all blocked up, you see, by this god-awful statue. Heavens above! Who thought it a good idea to put it there? Oh, I'm in quite the pickle now. See that statue? Gives me the willies. You stare at it for long enough, it starts to look alive. It just doesn't seem quite right. There are no craftsmen round these parts. Hey, you don't think a real-life person was turned to stone, do you?
So, if we were to kill Benhard here, and take his sword to Maulin before reaching the final phase of his questline, he would let us know that the sword is a fake. We, however, we have the real deal. We have the Moonlight Greatsword. It is kind of a FromSoft staple. It's in many of their games, even the Armored Core series. Among other things, of course, it's also in Dark Souls and in Demon Souls. Its presence in this game actually has some lore relevance, but we will be getting into that later. For now, let's take care of the statue. Yeah. We need a couple more branches of yore, we have one left, to do this to a couple other NPCs and even enemies. Most of them are optional though. You do usually get something in return that makes it worth it. Oh, and please forgive me for talking over the dialogue. I should mind my LP manners.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been petrified, hard to speak. I'm fine. I think... No. I'm fine. Really, I am. My name is Rosabeth. Thank you so much for rescuing me. Oh. You're that traveler. I still haven't thanked you. Well, I'm quite a hand at pyromancy. So perhaps you could consider this my thanks. I was attacked and turned to stone, I think. I owe you my life. If you had not come... Oh, I feel shameful wearing these rags. I hate to burden you further, as you've already saved my life. But just look at me. My clothes are in tatters. Do you have any clothing that you could spare? I'll take anything, whatever you don't need. I'm not particular when it comes to apparel. Anything at all will do. Just put it on the ground, and I'll change into it later.
So yeah, Rosabeth just acted as though we were already back in Majula, which I think makes it clear that this scene was supposed to play out a little differently originally, and they forgot to change it. So yeah, we can play dress up with her. Let's just give her something. Give her a pretty sweet hat, and just anything will do really. You don't get anything special for putting her in a particular outfit or anything. It's just what you want to do. You could in fact just give her a hat and nothing else if you are so inclined. Kind of funny to think about it. We can also reinforce our pyromancy flame with her if we have a fire seed. Otherwise we can't. Of course, you can also buy some pyromancy. This is in fact the only pyromancy trainer in the game. But her origins lie in sorcery, as she's about to tell us.
I have my very own teacher. His name is Carillion of the Fold, a famed sorcerer in Melfia, our hometown. I was fascinated by sorcery, and so, well, he's so unique, you see. When he set out for Drang Lake, I couldn't let him go alone. But we were separated, quite early on, I'm afraid. I'm rather unskilled. My lord probably ditched me. But, oddly, I'm a fast learner when it comes to pyromancy. What we're fascinated by, and we're skilled at, are not always the same thing. Why can't I just focus on what I truly enjoy? Oh dear, I shouldn't be so choosy. It's hardly my place. Thank you so much. I'm very happy for this gift. After I change into this, I'm heading for Majula. I'm not sure where I might find the Lord. But perhaps Majula is my best chance.
Yep, he's Majula. But yeah, you should talk to Benhart before actually moving on. I forgot this, so he had to come back around, so yeah.
What? Clearing the way as you're doing, was it? Didn't think you had it in you, pal. No. That's not like it sounds, you know. It was a pleasant surprise, that's all. Name's Benhart. Thanks to you, I can resume my journey. If we share the same path, I'm sure that we are going to meet again. I'll repay my debt to you in battle. I swear it, by my sword. The road ahead's going to be long, but I'm here to help. I am in your debt. It's a true man who honours his debts, and I'll see mine paid. I swear it by my ancient sword.
So yeah, ideally you go back out and talk to Vengarl before pulling that thing because it'll lock the door. But yeah, now we have a chance to actually try out the Moonlight Greatsword. We can, of course, use it to shoot magic with it, and that's the heavy attack. But it's a Greatsword type weapon, which makes it pretty good for crowd control in general. I really love Greatsword type weapons. This isn't one of my favorites, because I like the versatility some of them offer more, which have overhead swings as a secondary attack, or even stabs. But yeah, this encounter proved to be fairly simple, thanks to this weapon. So let's move on. You will, by the way, see a lot of New Game Plus footage this time around, simply because this area is pretty long and the video would be very long without it, so yeah, New Game Plus just simply was faster this time around. Not necessarily though, it's just that there's very little New Game Plus content in this area. In fact, I don't think there's any except for one item which we'll find. And yeah, of course, I could just save myself the trouble of looking into every single one of those cells, because there's nothing in them. I think there's only one with anything in them that's not an enemy. And yeah, you just saw that message popping up. It said that your message has been rated. This means that someone somewhere rated a message that we have written down at some point. Basically, every time someone rates your message, you get a small health boost. Nothing too special though. In fact, most of the time it's negligible. It's not something you can rely on either, but it might be nice if you have trouble going through an area for the first time. And yeah, the last cell I check, of course, has the items in it, and it's not even anything particularly special. But yeah, here we have the bonfire. Let's rest at it. But yes, let's throw some lightning at people. In this game, magic and miracles, of course, are pretty useful for actually picking off any enemies. We only have one copy of Lightning Spear right now though, so we only have 10 uses. If we were to buy or find a second scroll of Lightning Spear and attune it, we'd be able to throw 20 of them. And that would be very nice. But we also have other options. Emit Force, for instance, I've found out by now, actually does not do lightning but magic damage. It was a much better spell in the first game, I like to say, because in the first game it actually slowly shot an orb towards an enemy, it then exploded and had an AoE effect. In this game it has no AoE effect to speak of. At least not an effect that I can notice, it just seems to concentrate its damage on one target and that's it. Naturally, those two guys up here throwing the rocks, they're the biggest problem in this encounter. If you stand down there and charge in, you'll get hit. But if you did what we did and use Lightning Spear, they won't be much of a problem. You can of course also use other ranged attacks like a bow or magic, whatever strikes your fancy. But yeah, this is probably what I would call the biggest transitional area in the game. It's pretty long, and I think that even the next part that we're gonna explore, I would qualify that as a transitional area, even though it has a gimmick to it. But we'll be seeing that fairly soon. A lot of people seem to hate it, but I've actually grown to like it. Funnily enough, it was during the recording of this episode. Ah yes, another bonfire already. This bonfire is called the Fork Roads, and it is a fork road. It will lead us to 3 different areas, but we can only go to one of them right now.
Just wait, you dirty rat. Oh, I remember you. Don't you scare me like that. I thought you were him. That bastard with the ring lives in Brightstone Cove down the way. I'm gonna find him and settle the score. Nobody insults me like that. For the good of the world and for my own honour, I won't let that bastard live another day. For the good.
So we now have an area ahead of us in which we can't see quite that well. But there doesn't really seem to be any immediate danger, so let's just charge through it. Should be safe. And hey, there's something ahead of us. There is a character here which we want to talk to. I am going to overlay what he says over the next bit of gameplay, just to save some time, not because it's relevant. But who are we gonna talk to, you might now ask? That head there, yes, the one with the red helmet on.
Leave me be. I like it quiet. Leave me be. What business have you here, traveller? You may call me Vengarl, if I deserve a name in this sorry state. 'Tis rare to flap these gums. This is pleasant. Long ago, I was hired to defend the kingdom. I remember a long, brutal fight, and then somebody killed me. Or so I thought. I came to and found myself like this. I don't know what explains it, but it's not so bad, really. Now I watch the days go by and gaze at the night sky, thinking of the finer things, far removed from war. I'd grown weary of battle, but did not realize it until now. I know not what brings you on this journey, nor will I deign to ask. You may bear a great burden, but don't we all? I prefer to stay my distance. But I want to warn you of something. My body. I see visions. My body, headless, raging without me. My body wielding my sword, a sword forged only to kill. My body will show no mercy. If you see the wretched thing, stay far away. I learn new things every day. Things never learned in battle. And, thanks to you, I've recalled the joy of conversation. If I can help you, if you require something, do speak up. I cannot lie. Sometimes I wonder what's become of the kingdom. I was a hired hand, yes, but we soldiers stared death in the eye together. And for His Highness, I am afraid. But perhaps it's for the best. We knew not what we fought for. I was born in Feroza, a land in the distant east. When I was born, we were already mired in prolonged conflict with our neighbours. Eventually, our kingdom fell, and our people scattered. It's been a sellsword ever since. All I ever knew was war, and I can imagine no other way to live. What a fool I was. I am grateful for these peaceful days. but such contentment lies only in the here and now. Why must life be so confounding?
So yes, Vengarl has a lot to say and is one of the more interesting characters of the game. And this here also happens to be one of the most interesting parts of an area of the game. But first things first. We picked up Gower's Ring of Protection. It only appears in New Game Plus and makes that little ghost hugging us from behind appear. And it protects us from backstabs and other kinds of damage that comes from the back. After 5 hits it will break though, it breaks rather quickly. But yeah, this area here actually reminds me of why I like Souls games. Like, first time I played it I actually hated this area. And only when doing it again for this recording, where I actually had to go through it, I found that I actually liked it. I enjoyed it more than what came before or after it. The thing with this area is that, well, as you can see, you're always tense. You're always walking slowly and carefully. And then you spot something in the distance moving. But you think, maybe it's just one of those apparitions, we've seen those aplenty. There are other players walking around in their worlds. And then you find one of those guys. You get attacked from some direction and you don't actually see who's doing it. And tracking down those guys is actually a pretty great feeling. You can't lock onto those guys, by the way. If they step outside of the fog, they're really easy to spot, but in the fog, being half visible, they really aren't. They're really hard to see. And I'm not sure if you will even be able to see them on the video because it's really subtle. I hope you can see it to make sense of it. And that part up there is actually going on in the area, by the way. But yeah. This also reminds me of Darkroot Woods from the first game, where half-visible guys would attack you and you couldn't lock onto those either. Until, of course, they patched that out and made you actually log onto them. Well, yeah. It's almost as though people can't fight without locking onto enemies. But trust me, you totally can do that. I played through the entirety of Demon's Souls without knowing that you could lock on. Because I'm an idiot. But this proves that even a newbie can and will be able to play through a game without locking on. Not relying on lock-on, by the way, is generally good gameplay advice.
Thank you for lending an ear to my ramblings. Here, take these. I've no use for them. Go along and resume your journey.
So, we found Vengarl from the other direction, and for exhausting all his dialogue, we get his helm. It's rather nice. He also sells a couple items. You might like the gold pine resin if you want to buff your weapon, and you can buy a miracle here too.
Farewell. May we meet again, one day soon.
Ah yeah, I wonder if we'll meet him again. Let's actually hop back into the fog though. There's at least 2 more treasures and probably plenty of enemies that I haven't found yet. We can actually see one of the treasures ahead. There may be more, I'm not 100% sure, but those are the ones I'm aware of. I'm not sure you can hear that sound I'm hearing right now, but it's kind of eerie. Try listening to this with your headphones on. Ah yeah, there's another one of those guys. Once you know they're there, they're not really a problem, but your first time around, they will probably get you and you'll be completely confused. You might have noticed some of those trees with faces on them. Like that one, yes. If you hit those faces just the right way, they will growl. And that growl will actually... yes, that growl will actually attract those invisible guys. Or rather, as far as I'm aware, only one of them, the one who's closest. And it seems to have worked. But yes, part of the fun of this area actually comes from actually finding out where you're being attacked from. this tense walking around with your shield up, trying to spot very subtle clues is actually something that makes Souls games for me. It's not as present in this game. Well, it is, most in this area though. The other games have a little more of that, but it's not like it's as prevalent in this area either. This, I like to say, is one of the most atmospheric areas in the game, or the most atmospheric one. And it appears that that tree actually attracted two of those. But to be fair, one of those invisible guys hit the tree with his crossbow bolt, and that actually might have attracted the other guy. And now we've already spotted another one, or rather, we didn't spot him obviously, but we found one. And our ring broke. We can now repair it if we go to Leningrad. So it's not broken forever, thankfully. But it did do a good job of protecting us for a while. And this actually is a pretty good area to wear it to, which is why I immediately equipped it. And I'm not sure if this is a thing that only applies to me, but I think on the PC version the lighting is somewhat different, like without mods I mean. And that makes spotting those invisible guys easier. Because it's pretty damn hard on the console versions. Maybe my brightness settings are a little off though, who knows. Yeah, there should be a treasure chest somewhere around here. This is a nice thing in this area. I kind of went at it the wrong way this time around, and almost kind of forgot something. Or rather, I forgot where I was. That's the thing. But yeah, I walked past this before actually, because I didn't see it. I should have though. Normally, you shouldn't open this chest, you should turn around. There will be one of those invisible guys shooting at you or backstabbing you. But we killed the guy already, probably. Or did we? No, we didn't. Yeah, you can't really see them unless you're actively looking for them. And I totally get behind people not liking this area. I didn't either for a while, but I kind of really... it's an acquired taste, I have to say. I really like it by now. But we're almost done with it anyway. If you want an easy way through it, as you enter it, just hug the left wall. You won't have to deal with any of those invisible guys. You'll first find Vengarl, and as you leave Vengarl, turn to the left, you will find this part of the area, which actually leads onwards. And that's where we are right now. You can skip this entire part after all. And up here actually is already the next bonfire. So if you decide to skip the fog area, you will have two bonfires really close together. But the game assumes that, at least on your first time around, you don't know that.